We are truly honored, and I can say, sorry, you'll have to bear with me. My heart is full today, as there are few things I love more than my country. The only thing that places higher than that in my life is my relationship with my Heavenly Father. But my country is up there, so I'm grateful, and I am honored to be here today and to have this unique opportunity. But we are grateful to host this occasion. It is really special to us, and we're super thankful for the SUU Wind Symphony for their wonderful prelude music. I am Tanner Judd. I recently graduated basic training in AIT for the United States Army, and I'm just proud to be an American and to serve my country. It's literally been my dream, so I get to say that I am living my dream, and I'm so blessed. So today we have a special program to honor our veterans and the members of the United States military that have served us so faithfully. We are so grateful to them. At this time, we are honored to have the SUU Army ROTC post our nation's colors as our SUU OPUS Choir and SUU Wind Symphony play our national anthem. We'd ask all those who are able to stand for the presentation of the colors and to remain standing until our national anthem has been completed. Thank you. Please be seated. What a great way to start our program. Thank you to the ROTC candidates for their professionalism as they displayed our nation's colors while the symphony and choir performed. We are grateful for them and the direction of Dr. Adam Lambert. We really appreciate all that they have done for us. As a way of announcements, earlier today, flag rising ceremony and brief program was held at the Veterans Park, sponsored by Iron County Veterans Coalition. We would like to thank them for their continued commitment and partnership and pride for all our veterans throughout the country. The theme for the Veterans Day of 2022 is honor. Veterans are proud of their military service and defending our nation. Our honor reflects the military value and tradition of answering the call to duty. There is a distinct honor in serving to protect our way of life and the Constitution of the United States of America. Today, we honor all service members and remember the sacrifices they have made on behalf of our great nation. We remember, we will not forget, and we honor all who have served. So thank you. Really, thank you from the bottom of my heart for preserving this great nation and allowing me the opportunity to grow up in it. I am so blessed, as many of us are. Really, thank you, veterans. Those veterans who brought their right to bear arms to, I apologize. Those veterans who brought the right arm to the square and swore to defend our Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. You are heroes amongst us. You're personally heroes in my life. Although I don't know each one of you, you're my hero. I aspire to grow up and to be like you. Today, we are excited to hear from two remarkable individuals. First, we will hear from John Kennedy. John is a master brain trainer and #1 international best-selling author and creator of the Combat Brain Train. Following John, we will hear from Jackie Hobson. Jackie is an Army veteran who continues to serve our military and community. She previously was director of the Utah Veterans Business Resource Center and is currently the marketing and outreach specialist with the U.S. Small Businesses Administration in St. George. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage John Kennedy, followed by Jackie Hobson.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to I'll try to talk loud. The first thing I want to say is what an honor it is to be surrounded by so many heroes. And by heroes, I'm including the spouses and the families that support our men in combat. Why am I here? So basically, what he read about me pales compared to what you guys have done. I was a very successful consultant in business, and then in 2006, my younger brother David, one of my personal heroes, of course, returned from Iraq with a Bronze Star and a lot of traumatic stories of men under him who had been killed by IEDs. And he said, "Can you do anything to help?" So I thought, wow, maybe instead of helping businesses make more money, I could maybe help save lives. So I really dug into it. I was able to get onto an event at 29 Palms. You Marines here know about 29 Palms, 29 Stumps. And that's right. And they had an event every year called IED Industry Day. This is during the surge, very, very traumatic times. And they invited any contractor around the world who might have an idea of a way to probably reduce casualties. So I went through this whole event with the Marines, phenomenal experience. We learned about the detonation devices. We went through the alleys of Mojave Viper to try to understand what these young Marines had to go through. And what struck me was a lot of the Marines that led us around had all survived IED attacks, right? Maybe you guys have gone through that experience. And what struck me was they would say the consistent story, I started around this one street or this one alley, something told me something was wrong and I went a different way. The guys behind me kept going and they got attacked. So why do two Marines, similar demographics, similar training, one has better what we would call intuition, right? Not only sensing danger, but acting on it. And I was racking my brain about this. My background in business had been improving processes, business processes. And I was shaking hands with General Doug Stone, the base commander, on the last day, and I just kind of got this God moment intuition. what if we could make the brain more efficient the way I was working with businesses? Doug, brilliant guy, gave me a chance, right? So I got my contract, official contract from the U.S. Marine Corps to embed with a platoon of Marines with a full DOD experiment contract to see if we could make a difference. Now, the best part of the deal was the only base they could find for me to work out of was K-Bay. So if any of you guys served in K-Bay, it's in Hawaii, right? So a great place to be. But embedded with the Marines, and I had this hypothesis, and I want to leave you with a concept that's very, very important. At the time, I discovered neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is this incredible ability God's given our brains to change from repetition. Every time you repeat something, it becomes harder to change, right? We might call those habits, but at a deep level, it's based on this ability of our brains to change. So I decided to develop a program that would change the brain physically in the areas that were critical to more efficient thinking and better focus. No idea if it would work. So I embedded with the platoon, and we had a control platoon. It was an experiment, right? And we had the pilot platoon that I embedded with. Now, I asked for the worst platoon in the battalion because if I could make any difference at all, I wanted to help. These guys really went through a lot. They lost 13 guys a cycle before from a helicopter crash and IED blast. 3 guys had actually tried to commit suicide from trauma, and they were at the bottom of their scoring. So I embedded with these guys for 3 months. By far, one of the most meaningful experiences ever of my life. A civilian to be taken in by these Marines who went through all the training with them while I developed these exercises. 3 months later, not only were they the best performing platoon in that battalion, but they went to 29 Palms, final pre-deployment training in Mojave Viper. The instructor said it was the best performance you'd ever seen. So from there, we spread throughout Army, Navy SEALs, Navy EOD, Army helicopter pilots, Air Force pilots, and a lot of Marines. Anything, ETTs, Marine Corps Rifle and Pistol teams, every group that I work with, they improved their performance. But I also got to experience a little bit of what the families experienced, because when these guys deployed the first time, my wife and I kind of took one of the young families under our wing while Captain Paul Bishop, who was the S2, deployed, and just to see some of the difficulties that the families have to deal with while their spouses are serving. So that helped us develop some programs. We developed some programs for the Wounded Warrior Battalion. We developed some programs for the spouses so they could help as well. And then when the guys came back, because it's based on very simple exercises that are a lot of fun and engaging, the families were able to do them together so they could help with the reunification process. So for 3 years, basically, I was embedded with the Marines for 3 years. Again, one of the most meaningful times of my life. And now, after moving on to the civilian sector, I get to work with really high performers, professional athletes, as well as people struggling still. I've worked with several National Guard units. The most rewarding part for me when I work with any military unit is that everybody wants to perform better, right? They all want to perform better. The problem is so many of the guys in the units I worked with had already deployed several times, and they were really, really struggling with the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, but they didn't want to get help, right? I remember one Navy EOD unit in San Diego I worked with, and afterwards, one of the sailors came up to me and said, "John, you just saved my life. I had such a problem controlling my anger, but I knew that if I went to get help, they'd take me away from my unit, but I was tearing it apart. Now we're cohesive, my anger's gone, and I want to thank you for helping change my life." So that's the most, I help a lot of people. The most meaningful people that I get to work with are vets. Now, we had originally hoped to have an event this afternoon where I could actually take you through my training, but that wasn't going to work out. But I do want to make an offer to you. First of all, you can reach out to me anytime. We just, through SUU Online, we actually just filmed a video introduction to my program, and that'll be made free to all of you when it's produced. It's still in editing right now. It's a way for you to get started with this brain training program. Again, it's the most powerful way to really change your life, and I've just been very, very blessed to be able to be a part of that. I'm still looking to obviously work with vets wherever I can. We're trying to do some more of those groups. But basically, I just want to, it's kind of my gift to you guys. I hope that you'll take advantage of that. Go through it. You can always contact me at any time to come and speak. We did Vet's Family Brain Games event last night. It was a lot of fun. We had some kids there. Some of the guys in here were there. Anything I can ever do to help, you always reach out to me, and I'd be happy to do whatever I can. So once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you've done. I hope that we can stay in touch. Thank you.
I'm really thankful to be here today. How I'm going to start out might be a little strange because I actually wanted to share a weakness I have with all of you. Recently, my husband and I were at a restaurant, and I started to eavesdrop on the conversation going on next to us. I know I shouldn't do that because it's extremely rude, but they were talking about veterans. None of them had served. There were 4 of them, but they were having fun taking turns telling stories about the service they had heard their friends tell, those stories. I kind of tuned in and out of that conversation. However, I got really sucked in when one of them tried to start explaining to the others that there were only 2 types of veterans. The first type were those that left the service and they went on to bigger and better things. He described them as being extremely successful. The second type, however, well, through his eyes, those were the broken veterans. The veterans who left the service and didn't do any more with their lives. The conversation made me angry for a few reasons. One of the reasons is because I actually hate it when people take the entire veteran population and they try to lump it into 1 or 2 avatars. Since my service, I've been building businesses or helping other people build and create companies. And part of that, I have to help entrepreneurs understand the customer avatar. And that's where you drill deeper than demographics. You're drilling down to understand psychographics of a specific group, where their feelings, emotions, characteristics, all of those are what's similar. Now, we're too diverse as a veteran population to lump us into just 1 or 2 avatars. I was honored to build the Veterans Business Resource Center for the state of Utah, and I bring that up because during my time, I actually mentored about 300 veterans, and I sat on a few military committees and veteran working groups. So I was able to see firsthand this diversity. We're so different. And even though we're different, there are characteristics that are the same. I often found with veterans, they had a mission-first mentality. They still held on to their get-her-done attitude, and they longed for the camaraderie they once had. That mission-first mentality can be defined many ways. I want to focus on that mission piece. When you're in the military, we all had that purpose that was so much bigger than ourselves. So it's understandable that our soldiers come home and they miss that. They miss being part of something. Before I created the VBRC for the state, I actually worked for the Small Business Development Center, and I would counsel anyone that wanted to start a business. About every 100 people I met with, there was 1 or 2 that wanted to start a not-for-profit. However, if I compare those with the veterans, it wasn't just 1 or 2%. It was close to 30% of those veterans met with me because they wanted to build an organization just to give back. How amazing is that? So when you think about veterans, I know we're not all veterans in here, so when you're thinking about veterans, I want you to think about their desire to give back and be part of a mission again. Usually, if we're working towards a mission, we actually will work really, really hard. That's that get-her-done attitude. Nowadays, I think most people talk about it like grit and resilience. When I mention grit today, though, it may sound a little different than you've heard in the past. I spent every day of my 15-month deployment with the same soldier. And so when I came home, I decided, what the heck, and I married him. Although we spent every day together, those experiences affected us differently when we came home. My husband, Chris, he's in here, up here in the front row, but he was a straight A student before Iraq. And after Iraq, he really struggled. He actually struggled so much that the VA kicked him out of the vocational rehab program because they couldn't justify investing in him any longer. He's what some would have called a broken veteran. However, he didn't quit. He didn't stop. He had to pivot and stop going to a university, but he never stopped trying to improve his mind. He found ways to learn online and through master classes, books. He actually still reads 2 or 3 books a week. That continual drive forward, that is grit. When traditional employment didn't work for him anymore, he just didn't give up. He actually cut a hole in the side of our house so we could have a door to the office. And he started to teach violin lessons out of it. He took a skill set and a passion he had to create an opportunity to help support his family, even though that's not what he had planned or imagined for his life. That ability to push forward regardless of having to change, that's grit. Over the years, he's had a few doctors and therapists actually tell him not to expect too much, because a lot of marriages that have to deal with PTSD, let alone those that parent 2 children on the autism spectrum, those marriages end up in divorce at a lot higher rate. However, Chris didn't take that information and pack a bag and say, "I'm done, why try?" He pushed forward, and despite any limitations he might have had, he pushed to be the best dad and the best husband he could be. That's grit to look up to. So when you remember veterans, remember our grit and our resilience. The last thing I wanted to mention was that longing for camaraderie. I'm sure all of you know that you kind of miss that, right? I've never met a veteran that doesn't miss the camaraderie that they had while they served. There's nothing like it. It's almost like we have an instant connection with vets even to this day. We hold a level of respect, appreciation, and love for one another. This level and this desire for camaraderie can be a huge asset to our communities. Occasionally, though, veterans will have a hard time finding it again. We need to get out there and find ways to connect. And if we can't find ways to connect, we need to build opportunities that we connect to one another. So for those of you who aren't vets, when you're thinking about vets, don't just think about their desire or their longing for camaraderie. Think about their need for camaraderie, because it's a need. Now, I mentioned 3 things that were very similar about us vets, but when you leave here too, don't forget that we are different. We're different and we're diverse, and you can't lump us into 1 or 2 avatars. We have different strengths and we have different weaknesses. Believe me, I have many weaknesses besides just eavesdropping. But don't look at our weaknesses and think that we're broken. Get to know us. Get to know us, and you'll be impressed with our grit and resilience. You'll be inspired by our willingness to give back. This Veterans Day, well, scratch that. Every day you get to connect and talk with a veteran, do more than just say thank you for your service. Take those few extra moments to get to know them. Find out where they served, when they served, what they're doing now. If you take those extra moments, that is how you thank them for their service. You thank them for their service by connecting with them, helping them find opportunities to serve and be part of the community. Take those moments to thank us by being our friend.
Just please, thank you guys. Give these wonderful ladies, Jackie and John, another round of applause, as well as our Symphony and choir. They've just... We are just so blessed to have all of you and to have them speak to us and to have this beautiful music provided to us. We're actually going to turn the time over to them for another musical number. This will be directed by, oh, I apologize. Andrew Briggs. Thank you.
His terrible sweet sword is true.
Thank you, Dr. Briggs and the choir and Symphony. We really appreciate that musical number. I don't know about you, but that really just fills my heart with a little bit more freedom and just a nice, warm spirit. I'm so grateful for your talents and your time to support us today. Today, as we pay tribute to all who served, we are fortunate to give special recognition to 11 outstanding veterans who were nominated through our SUU Veterans Center, each one a pillar of excellence from our community. As student veterans, as faculty and staff, and lastly, currently serving. Please welcome Mike Miller to the stage as he recognizes our 11 honorees, families, friends. Please feel free to take a picture through the sentiment. Mike.
So it's pretty amazing. I want to tell Dr. Briggs and Lambert and the whole choir and Symphony, thank you. I also want to talk to John and Jackie. Thanks for your word. It's essential, and we're fortunate to have this group help us execute this concert today. I also want to tell Tanner, you're doing excellent. Thank you. I'm just as nervous as you were, right? I'm Mike Miller. I'm blessed to work in the Veterans Center here on campus, and to especially work with the military-connected students. Our campus is very veteran and military friendly, and I want to thank our university leadership, our faculty, and the staff for all their support. Like Tanner said, our center asked for nominations through both the community and on campus. Through that effort, we were able to come up with 11 honorees. I would ask the audience, just because of time, to hold your applause until the very end, and I'm able to read through all 11. If I fall down, Tanner's going to get up and read the script, so we're okay. And then also at the conclusion, all 11 honorees, 10 honorees will be over there, and I would ask you and invite you to go over there and talk to them and thank them. Our first honoree is Sam Brown, United States Army. Sam was born in Idaho Falls, Idaho. As a junior in high school, he enlisted in the Idaho National Guard. In 2005, during basic training in AIT, he was a platoon leader, for which he earned the Army Achievement Medal. Sam served a year-long combat deployment to Baghdad, Iraq in 2011, where he again earned numerous awards. After 8 years of service, he separated in 2013. Sam is currently a student here at SUU, dual majoring in criminal justice and aviation. He also works in our Veterans Center as a peer mentor and is also an involvement captain with our campus Still Center. Sam Brown, United States Army. Rick McMullen, United States Army. Rick joined the Utah Army National Guard in 1975, soon after graduating high school. He served as a combat engineer for 8 years, at which time he accepted an AGR position as a recruiter. As a recruiter, he enlisted thousands of soldiers into the organization that he believed in. Upon retirement as a sergeant first class, he was awarded the Army Meritorious Service Medal. Soon after retirement, Rick accepted a position with the Utah Department of Veteran and Military Affairs, where for the last 19 years, he has been an accredited veteran service officer helping thousands of veterans navigate their disability benefits. Rick McMullen, United States Army. Dr. Merrill Jones, United States Army. Merrill comes from a long line of family in the military, dating back to World War II up to Iraq and Afghanistan. He grew up in both Cedar City and Kanab, Utah. In his junior year of high school, he enlisted in the Utah National Guard, the Triple Deuce. A year later, he returned to AIT, where he was selected as Master Gunner and Distinguished Honor Graduate. He was then deployed in support of 2002 Winter Olympics, also in 2003 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, with reassignment to Fort Lewis, Washington. Merrill was again deployed for 18 months in 2005 with a year of service in Ramadi, Iraq. Upon his return, he separated from the military with 10 years of service. He resides in Cedar City with his wife, Corrine. Merrill is extremely rewarded as a father of 4 amazing children, and in his work as a psychologist providing mental health assistance to our SUU students. Dr. Merrill Jones, United States Army. Jordan Kemp, United States Marine Corps. Jordan enlisted in the United States Marine Corps soon after graduating high school in 2012. He was stationed in the 1st Battalion, 1st Marine Division, Bravo Company at Camp Pendleton, California. He served for 5 years with this unit, going on 3 deployments. Jordan was appointed squad leader in Bravo Company's 3rd Platoon and eventually was appointed as an NCO and ended his service in 2017 as a corporal. Jordan Kemp, United States Marine Corps. Will Clemens, United States Air Force, United States Army. Will was born in Navarre, Florida. He joined the Air Force in 2013 as a firefighter with the Special Operations Civil Engineer Squadron, and in 2014 he was deployed to Kuwait. In 2016, Will transitioned to the active Army, where he was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas as a cavalry scout and deployed to both Afghanistan and Poland. He received commendation medals in both the Air Force and the Army. Will is currently attending SUU, majoring in range and wildlife management. He is also a member of the Student Veterans of America SUU chapter and is the veteran representative for the SUU Student Senate. Will Clemens, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Army. Blake Bennett, United States Air Force. Blake was born in a small town northeast of Knoxville, Tennessee. He joined the Air Force in 2015 as an aerospace ground equipment mechanic. He was stationed in Dover, Delaware for 4 years. While serving, he was deployed to Guam. After his service, he worked for the U.S. Postal Service and then caught wind of the SUU aviation program. He started the program in fall of 2020. He is currently in his 2nd semester as a certified flight instructor. He also has an associate's degree in criminal justice and will graduate with an aviation bachelor's degree next semester. His future goals are to work in the EMS, the fire, or utility work. He enjoys living an active lifestyle and constantly trying to push himself and others to achieve new goals. Blake Bennett, United States Air Force. Candace Hilger, United States Marine Corps. Unfortunately, Candace cannot be here with us today. Nonetheless, we want to honor her and her amazing service. Candace is a Native American Marine Corps veteran. She was raised in both Utah and New Mexico. She followed in her family's footsteps and enlisted into the Corps. Her first duty location was with the 1st Marine Logistics Group in Camp Pendleton, California. After 4 years of honorable service, she separated from the military. However, stayed close to the Corps while her husband served. Together, they were stationed in Massachusetts and in Germany. In 2016, Candace and Michael returned to Cedar City. In 2016, she started her work here on SUU campus. First as a student veteran support specialist, next in the registrar's office, and now as the executive assistant for the vice president of student affairs. Together with her husband, Michael, and their 2 children, Logan and Lana, she enjoys do-it-yourself projects, volunteering with the Iron County Search and Rescue, and the Boston Red Sox. There's always next year. Her greatest goal in life is to raise a happy, reasonable children with a strong will to serve others. Candace Hilger, United States Marine Corps. Chris Youngkin, United States Army. Chris joined the United States Army in 2002 as a food service specialist. After completing his initial individual training, he was stationed in South Korea. Chris served honorably and was discharged for medical reasons. He currently resides in Cedar City with his wife and kids. Our university is very fortunate to have Chris on campus, where he is a librarian and also a professor. Chris Youngkin, United States Army. Sheridan Hanson, United States Army. Sheridan grew up in Cache Valley, Utah. In 1953, after graduating high school, he and 3 of his best friends, and they picked one up on the way, enlisted in the United States Army. He was a heavy weapon infantryman and was assigned to a combat-ready unit in Fort Lewis, Washington. During this time, he volunteered to play in the regimental band as a saxophone player. Of note, he played at numerous parades. one of which was for Audie Murphy, one of the most decorated soldiers in our nation's history. In 1954, Sheridan was discharged from the Army. He then used his GI Bill and received his degree from Utah State University. He had a successful 30-year career with the Bureau of Land Management. In addition, he has been a member of the Lions Club for over 40 years and has served on both the Washington and Iron County Water Conservancy District boards. He is a master of tractors and has led the tractor caravan from Cedar City to Parowan every year for the last 17 years. Sheridan Hanson, United States Army. Kent E. Myers, United States Air Force. Kent attended SUU for their 3-year education degree. After completing the degree here at SUU, he then had to attend BYU. He whispered that when he told me. For 1 year to finish his ROTC U.S. Air Force commissioning requirements. Soon afterwards, he was immediately activated. In 1954, Kent was deployed to Korea as an information service officer. He traveled by boat with 2,500 other airmen and civilians. The families were on the top deck and the airmen below, and he had his own room. After 6 months in Korea, he was reassigned to Japan. While in Japan, he was able to have his wife, Cherry, and their son join him while he finished that tour. After his service, he returned to Cedar City, where he taught 5th graders and developed a new reading strategy that helped many students across the nation. He then came to SUU, where he led and taught for over 31 years. He is an active member of the Master Singers. In fact, he sang this morning at a local elementary. He and his wife continue giving their untiring support to our campus, our students, and our community. Kent Myers, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel, Dr. Cadet Colton Douglas, United States Army. Colton was born in Richfield, Utah, and graduated from Richfield High in 1998. Soon after graduation, he served an LDS mission to Argentina. Upon his return, while attending SUU, he enlisted in the Utah Army National Guard. In his junior year at SUU, he contracted as an SUU ROTC cadet. While attending ROTC, he was able to jump out of perfectly good airplanes, receiving his airborne wings. He graduated from SUU and was commissioned an officer in 2005. Colton then went on to attend dental school at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, graduating in 2010. Colton is currently assigned as the Utah Guard State Dental Surgeon and the section leader. In addition to providing ongoing dental care for the soldiers, he has been able to participate in many humanitarian aid missions in Morocco and Belize. Colton is married to Melanie. Together they have 6 children and a really cool basset hound named Bruno. He has a private dental practice in Ephraim where they reside. Lieutenant Colonel Colton Douglas, United States Army. Please help me in giving thanks to all of our honorees and their families. We thank you for your service to our nation, our community, and our university. Please, if we can, give them a round of applause of appreciation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here, and thank you to our 11 wonderful nominees. They are among some of my heroes, although I do not know them all individually. I'm blessed to know a few of them, and they've set the example for me. As we close our ceremony, we saved some of our best for last. Now we are honored to hear again from our choir and symphony as they deliver the Armed Forces Melody. Please, those veterans in the audience, as your branch is played, please stand to show your pride. Please remain standing until our staff has had enough time to present you with a pin, a small token of our appreciation. Please welcome our choir and symphony. And Dr. Lambert, thank you. United States Army, please stand. That was the United States Army. United States Coast Guard. United States Coast Guard. The United States Coast Guard. The United States Marine Corps. The United States Air Force and the United States Space Force. The United States Navy. That was wonderful. Thank you. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all the different branches of service. Before we close the ceremony, one other thought. Our service members are often thanked for their service and sacrifices for this country, which is something they deserve. While thanking those who proudly wear or have worn the military uniform, it is also important that we thank those who stand behind our troops and support them through their journey. While our service members give up a lot for our country, their great service would be limited without the untiring support from home. At this time, we would ask all immediate family members of service members, both past and present, to stand. We are grateful for you family members who support us in our call to serve. And I say call to serve because that is what it has been for me. It is something I've just felt like I was born to do. I just love this country. Thank you to all who participated in our program today. And a special thank you to our committee members, SUU Symphony and SUU Choir. Special thank you to John Kennedy and Jackie Hobson, our honorees, and each of you for being here today. And to my heroes, those of you in uniform and those of you who might be here not in uniform, thank you for your example and your sacrifice. It has changed my life, and it's allowed me to grow up here free. And I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. There's one other thing I think we need to recognize. There's some people here who haven't quite been recognized for all they do for the veteran community and to make this event possible. Mike Miller, Amy, and Jeff Hunt are all three individuals who work tirelessly to help the veterans on campus, and I couldn't do it without them, and I'm so grateful for them. There's one other thing. Let's give them a hand. Among the tremendous examples I've had since I've been here in my short time is a cadet who I just am honored to know, and her example to me is like no other. Her name is Hannah Hughes. Please stand. I only mention this because she recently earned, and I say earned because she's worked tirelessly and she plans our events. She recently earned a slot at Fort Rucker, Alabama, to be a pilot for the United States Army, so she will soon be Lieutenant Hughes, and I am grateful for her example, and I am grateful to know her. So thank you again to all of you, though, who are here and who have served. There's many of you I don't know who are great examples, and I am excited to get to know more of you and to learn from each of you. Thank you for coming. That's all we have for you today, but there are refreshments in the back. Again, thank you to the choir, and thank you to everyone who's just made this possible.